Hi everyone, we are now going to work on our proficient level problem for this particular skill of essentially writing an equation given just bare bones information. This time we have a slope and a point. Sorry for the rustling in the background. I needed to find a new graph and I didn't have one created. All right, so to start out with, let's graph this so we can see what this looks like. This time, our slope is a little bit more complicated, and if we look at our point, it's also not a point that's easily identifiable. Sure, we can find it on our graph just fine, but it's not like it's a x-intercept or a y-intercept. So it makes us a little bit more nervous if we were to ask ourselves anything, or if we were to ask ourselves anything, we'd probably say like, this problem makes me a little uncomfortable, and that's good. Again, we want to push ourselves. So I'm always going to start with plotting my point that I know first. Usually, I love it when it's a y-intercept or an x-intercept. This time it's not, so I have to play around with this. I have a -4 for my x value and a -9 for my y value. I'm going to start from 0, 0. I'm going to count to the left 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I'm going to count down 9 units. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 units, and I have my point. Then from there, I'm going to create my slope of -1/3 or -1/3. It means I'm going down 1 and to the right 1, or right 3. This is messy already, right? So if I look at this, this is already looking like it's potentially going to get me a really funky y-intercept, and it's not even a y-intercept that I can see on this graph. Let's finish this up and get a line on here. I'm going to go up 3 to the left, or up 1 to the left 3, up 1 to the left 3, and if I look at this graph, it is barely on my graph paper. So that's why this particular problem is definitely a proficient level problem. You are looking at a graph that's not even, or a line that's barely even on a 10 by 10 graph. So let's play around with a table and see what this looks like given this situation. If I were to create a table for this scenario, x, y, I'm going to put this value -4, -9 in this table right here. And when I do that, I'm going to also add -3 in here, -2, -1, and 0. I definitely want 0 in there. I'm going to add a couple more numbers in here too. All right, so I now need to use my slope. I need to work my slope to help me out and figure out some of these numbers. This slope essentially is telling me for every x or every y value I decrease, I am increasing by 3 in my x values. So if I increase by 3 in my x values, I'm going to decrease by 1 in my y values. Okay, if I increase by 3 in my x values, I decrease by 1 in my y values. If I look at this, I have completely skipped over what my y-intercept is. And that's really frustrating, right? I want to be able to actually see what my y-intercept is, but that means I need to break this slope down a little bit more. So if I were to look at this and increase by 1 in my x values, that means I am doing what to my y values? I'm dividing this number by 3. So I'm decreasing by 1/3. That means -9 minus 1/3, -9 and 1/3 is my next point down. If I increase by 1, I'm going to decrease by 1/3, mainly because I need 3 steps in here to equal 1. So if I subtract 1/3 each time, I'm going to slowly get to that 1 point. So if I then increase by 1, I am decreasing by 1/3. third again. Negative 9 and 2/3 minus 1/3 gets me negative 10. I'm going to do that one more time so I can get to my y-intercept. Minus 1/3. 10 minus a third, or negative 10 minus a third gets me negative 10 and 1/3 is my y-intercept. So with a graphing thing, I probably could have figured out that my y-intercept was negative 10 and 1/3. However, it's not super accurate when I graph and my value is kind of messy. However, with a table, I can be more accurate. It definitely is tricky to do. So now I can at least write my equation. My equation y equals mx plus b. My slope is negative 1/3. So I can put that into here. Negative 1/3 is my slope. I still have x. I have a y, and my b, I just figured out, is negative 10 and 1/3, which I could write as an improper fraction as well. I could say 10 times 3 is 30, so I get negative 31 over 3. I could also write this as negative 31 over 3. But what I am not going to do is I am not going to turn this into a decimal because I've told us from the beginning we are going to embrace the fractions. Now, so we've looked at this in terms of a graph. We've looked at this in terms of a table. Both of those were messy. So we can't expect that the equation method of solving this or the algebraic method of solving this is going to be any cleaner, but it could potentially be. Let's figure out what this would look like if I did it just with algebra. So we have our base equation, y equals mx plus b. We want eventually to get this same equation here as we have. We have some values that we can use. We know our slope is at negative 1/3. We know an x value in here of negative 4. And we have a y value of negative 9. So we can put all of this in here. We don't know what our b value is. We're going to solve for that. And now I can do a little bit of math. So negative 9 is equal to negative 1/3 times negative 4 plus b. Negative 1/3 times negative 4. The negatives cancel each other out. 1 times 4 is 4. 3 times 1 is 3. So negative 1/3 times negative 4 gets me 4/3 plus b. If we wanted to reason through this, we could say 1/3 plus 1/3 plus 1/3 plus 1/3. So 1/3 4 times. I'd have 4 1/3s there, right? I still have this negative 9 on this side. And now I can subtract this 4/3 from both sides. Negative 9 minus 4/3. 4/3 is essentially negative 1 and 1/3. Negative 1 minus negative 9 is negative 10. Still have 1/3 is equal to b. So I got the exact same y-intercept as I did when I made my table. I apologize that it's a little blurry down here. This is very much a proficient level problem. You might have looked at it and said like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you're making me do fractions. I can't believe you're making me do fractions with an algebraic equation. I can't believe you're making me deal with fractions in this table. This is 100% what an 8th grader is supposed to be able to do. So I want you to practice the must-do practice problems. There should be an answer key available to you when you do those. And after you finish those, complete the exit pass. Thanks for watching. As always, do not hesitate to email me or message me or schedule a Google Meet with me if you have any questions whatsoever. Thanks for watching. Bye.